I know you can. All right, guys, fire away.
Courtney just said the practices have been super hard since coming back. Is that a matter of just not resting on your laurels?
I mean, I wouldn't overthink it. I mean, I don't know if they've been that hard. We've hardly been able to practice. I mean, we had all these NCAA days we had to take off and make up, and this counts as a day off, that doesn't count as a day off. I mean, it's like calculus, figuring out when you can practice. So we've practiced a few times, and we're going to go hard today.
Overall, though, what do you think your team learned about itself after the trip?
Well, I mean, it remains to be seen. You know, I mean, we haven't played again. So, I mean, hopefully we learned a lot. You know, I mean, we've tried to, addressing some things in film and, a lot of positives. You want to keep reinforcing those, but then some things we need to get better at, and you just get in situations in a game that, you're not able to, you simulate in practice, but it's not the same thing. So just being in into-game situations and, or whether it's, in the middle of a game, learning how to make a run or stem the tide a little bit, those types of things. So we'll find out.
How does Courtney compliment Kirk?
Courtney's a good player. I mean, he's just a good all-around basketball player. I mean, he's he's a two-way guy. I mean, he's very good defensively. Obviously, he's good offensively too, and he's able to help us a little bit with some ball handling and decision making, and I think he's going to continue to grow in that area. I mean, I'm really challenging him to grow in that area and get more and more comfortable at facilitating and having the ball in his hands, and I know he's comfortable doing it, but I want him to be comfortable doing it the way I want done. And he's not far off, but he just needs some reps.
Have we seen less of Kerr? And he's been very good, obviously, but less excitable. He's more controlled, more mature.
I mean, I guess that could be day to day, game to game. I mean, media timeout to media timeout. I don't know. I mean, he's he probably was pretty tired, probably pretty fatigued. So maybe the celebrations weren't as good. But I caught him a few times. Maybe not celebrating his own stuff as much as when a teammate did something, really celebrating it or pumping his fist. And Kerr's just a really good basketball player, and I think the antics aside, I mean, I don't pay attention to the antics because they don't really mean anything to me. I know maybe that draws attention to him from other people, but when it comes to just pure basketball, I mean, he's doing a good job, and I think he's really showing something.
One of the things that stood out in these first 2 years for you has obviously been the dramatic development of your bigs, from Christian last year to Umar and the jump he's taken this year. What's been the genesis of your philosophy on how to develop big men?
Well, for one, I love big guys, and I love playing with big guys, and I really value them. And the secondly, we spend a lot of time with those guys. I think it's when you think of player development, a lot of people really kind of tend to tilt towards the perimeter players, the ball handling, the shot making ability, things that maybe are a little more eye-popping, but I really appreciate the value of just a good big and the simplicity of how they can play and playing with power and force. And then the other thing is, in our system, bigs get to touch the ball a lot, whether it's, facilitating out on the perimeter or, initiating actions on the perimeter or posting up. So, we really spend a lot of time on our bigs touching the ball, and we spend a bunch of time teaching our guards how to pass the ball to the bigs so they get to touch the ball in advantageous situations.
When Omar was his redshirt year at Gonzaga, could you have envisioned his progress?
For sure. I mean, I recruited the kid. I believed in him, and just because it doesn't happen early, doesn't mean it's not going to happen late. And I don't know. I guess my job as a coach is to hang with him and get him there until he's not with us anymore. And so yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised at all, with the impact that he's having, and hopefully he'll settle in and kind of make this the norm.
Tommy, do you your team's in the national picture? Do you pay attention to the other stuff going on out there at all? Even as a fan, North Carolina lost twice last week. Gonzaga's lost a couple of games. You've seen what's going on. Purdue has made a big jump. Where is that kind of on your radar?
Well, I mean, listen, I think any coach would be lying to say if he wasn't, addicted to watching other scores. I mean, you might not be able to watch other teams play a lot unless you're going to play them, and you're kind of scout them, but you're always paying attention to the scoreboard. I mean, it's what we do as coaches, and so yeah, so you take notice, and but at the same point, yeah, I think you also understand that early success can be fleeting. And, we really haven't done anything yet. I mean, obviously we wanted to win the tournament we were involved in. We checked that box. Now it's on to the next thing. And winning Maui, is Thursday night doesn't mean we start with a 6-0 lead against Utah. The score is going to be 0-0. So, you just kind of got to move on. And I really love the process of getting better, whether it's after a win or a loss. So I'm just looking forward to see if we can continue to get better.
You said that, you believe in Umar. Was that, not to say that Mark Few necessarily didn't believe in him, but do you think maybe they viewed him differently, that they would let him walk away to you guys?
Not at all. Not at all. And, and players transfer for a variety of reasons. I mean, it doesn't mean he was let go or he decided to leave, whatever. This stuff happens. When I say I believed in him, it means that when he struggled, I still believed in him. I wasn't like, I didn't need for him to be instantly successful for me to reaffirm my belief in him. And so when he struggled, we continued to love him and work with him. And then he continued to hang in there. And I think it's a great story. But it's a chapter in a story. I mean, we're 6 games into a long season. So, he's got to continue to play well and continue to get better.
What are your thoughts so far looking at Utah?
I think obviously it's their coach's second year like mine. I think he's probably a little more comfortable. And, they got a lot of returning players that are probably more comfortable with what he wants to do. And, to me, it looks like they're off to a pretty good start. I think they lost one game at home. I think it was like the Sam Houston or something. And I think Sam Houston's like really good. I think they're a really good team that probably no one knows about. So, they got my full attention. And, we're going to go up there and we understand it's a road game and a tough place to play. And, we're going to go up there and, I don't think we're going to go in there waltzing, believing it's going to be an easy game. We're going in there and understand it could be a possession-by-possession game, and we just got to find a way.
Would you prefer the conference schedule all being together, or would you like to see it split up?
I've spent zero time thinking about it either way. It's the next game on the schedule. And it's how the Pac-12 decided to do it long before I became part of the Pac-12. So, I don't spend any time rehashing their decisions because what's that do for me? Nothing.
How has Krzysztofiak impacted your practices?
Well, he's an awesome kid, and he's from an awesome family, and he's a really good player, and he probably could be playing at a number of places and getting minutes, and we had a couple conversations with him this off season, and he had expressed interest in maybe coming here as a walk-on, and we let him know that obviously he'd be welcomed. But he still wanted to kind of scratch the itch and see if there's a couple opportunities to play. So we told him to pursue those, and then he pursued them and then came back to us and said ultimately he wanted to come to Arizona. So we welcomed him with open arms, and he's just a great guy to have around every day. And for me as a coach, who has a son, who's similar in age, I mean it's great to be around those boys who grew up with their dads as coaches. They know what our life's like. And so yeah, we really value him, and he's a great guy, and I think he's really looking forward to returning back, where he spent a significant part of his childhood.
Still a family there? I don't know if Larry moved.
I don't know. I think they moved. I think Larry and his wife have moved, but yeah, I don't know if he has any other family there.
Did you ever play against Larry in Salt Lake?
Not in Salt Lake. I played against the Utes in the NCAA tournament in Denver, I believe it was.
You talk about not wanting to waltz in. I mean, now that you've had the guys back at least for a couple days in practice, I mean, has there been any more emphasis that you've had to give just to get a tone of seriousness after the big week you had?
I mean, not really. I mean, our guys understand that there's other games on the schedule, and they haven't necessarily arrived. So, and I think for the most part, our guys have a growth mindset and embrace getting better. And so, we're just trying to lock into that. But, listen, I don't know what's going to happen when the ball goes up. I don't know if we're going to start out sluggish or start out on fire. I mean, we'll have to figure that out and then adjust accordingly.
Foul trouble the last few games out in Maui. How much of that was from the defensive approach that you took?
I mean, I wouldn't know if it's, I mean, obviously we're trying not to foul. I mean, ultimately, I mean, I think that's kind of the goal. But, fouls are part of the game. And, I think it just came down to, you're playing other really good teams that put foul pressure on you. And, maybe we have to get a couple guys a little cleaner with their technique and understanding that you're not going to win every single battle. So if you're not going to win that battle, don't compound it by, making an egregious foul. So I think we just had some of that going on, and we have some competitive dudes. So, yeah, I mean, the foul issues are part of it. And, navigating something you have to do. And obviously I'd rather not, but, I mean, it's part of the deal. So, I was happy with how our team overall responded when certain guys were out. And to me, I think that helps me continue to build confidence that, we're going to find a way, one way or another to try to come out and be successful. It's not going to be totally dependent on one guy, whether he's in foul trouble or not.
You made the soccer joke walking in. Are you a fan of the sport? Is there teams you follow?
I love it. I love soccer. I mean, I don't really, follow too many sports seriously outside of Arizona basketball. So I mean, I'm not saying I'm not like a certain fan of a club, but I love these, international competitions. I think they're captivating, and I like the game of soccer because I look at the spacing, the timing, the flow, and maybe there's some carryover to how we're trying to play. I'm probably closer to, soccer-oriented coach than an American football-oriented coach and how we play. So, I definitely pay attention to spacing, timing, moving, when I'm watching, a soccer match.
International travels, have you been to any games?
Yeah, I've been to a few games. They're awesome. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't get a ton of time to do that stuff anymore because, it's kind of, a lot of it's during our season as well. But I've been to a couple international matches over the years, and they were awesome experiences.
You mentioned, I think it was the first game in Maui, that Courtney defensively had to do some things a little bit different to mesh. And I think he said something today about he was cutting under some screens, things that you didn't like. Is that, where is he on that, and did it improve?
Well, I mean, it improved some, but we're gonna find out. I mean, we're gonna drill it the next couple days, and hopefully he cleans it up a little bit. I think a little bit of it's just, learning, what my expectations are and hitting our coverages, I'm giving him some freedom defensively because I think he's a pretty good defensive player, but I have a few non-negotiables that I'm going to make sure that, he executes and understands why he needs to execute him and how good he is when he does execute those things. So those have been our conversations.
Is it challenging with a fifth-year player like him? I mean, obviously he seems to be a guy that you're meshing with pretty well, but just that he's done it for 4 years in other systems and been a pretty good.
No, not really. I mean, it's if he's a great guy and he wants to do right by the team, so I think he's not necessarily sitting out there fighting me on it. He's just maybe his habits aren't as polished enough in the what we want to do, so we just got to help him.
Did you partake in snorkeling?
I didn't. No, I've snorkeled plenty of times before, and it was, unfortunately for us, I mean, Thursday was a nice, relaxing day, but actually, it's hard to imagine, but the weather was pretty poor in Maui that day, extremely windy and rainy. So, I just kind of hung out with my family back at the hotel.
Did you guys go out on a boat and snorkel, or was it just right?
The guys did, yes. The guys, they went out on a boat. I mean, I think they loved it. I think they had a great time, and I guess there was a big slide on there. I wasn't there. Nate was probably there. Nate was probably going down the slide more than anybody. So, yeah. So, but the guy, I mean, the reports I got back were the guys loved it.
And then you had it was a pretty big Thanksgiving deal, right?
Yeah, it was big. It was really cool. I mean, it was we had it early in the day, so all the players and our staff and staff's families and administrators were all there, along with a number of the fans that, had bought the package through Bon Voyage. So, it was really cool. I mean, it was great to kind of share a Thanksgiving lunch with everybody. And then I think that evening everybody was kind of able to go do their own thing.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. Have a good one.